Let's turn the pages of a truly terrifying tale. Today, we're diving into a story that perfectly blends real-world anxiety with the supernatural. We're going to break down a chilling narrative that explores guilt, fear, and a very unique form of retribution. So let's step into the dark.
2 a.m., a completely deserted train, and an unknown terror just waiting for you. Would you dare to travel? Seriously, put yourself in the shoes of a lone traveler for a second. It's the dead of night, the rain is just pouring down, and you literally have no choice but to step onto this desolate, rain-swept train. The atmosphere is incredibly heavy, the platform is entirely empty, and every single shadow feels like a threat. Would you get on? Well, let's see what happens to someone who had absolutely no other choice.
Section 1. The Start of a Terrifying Night. Let's see how this story establishes a deeply grounded, real-world anxiety before any of the supernatural elements even appear.
Look at the sheer weight of this single number right here, 4. Our protagonist isn't just, randomly afraid of the dark. She's driven by a genuinely horrifying statistic. In just the last month alone, 4 working women have been murdered on trains in this exact area. I mean, that's a terrifying reality to carry when you're traveling by yourself at night, right? And it's exactly the engine that's driving her paranoia.
So here's how it all goes down. At 1:45 a.m., she checks her watch. She's running super late. She rushes to the platform, her footsteps echoing in the quiet night. She knows that missing this train means being stranded on a dangerous platform until morning, which, given what we just talked about, is a potential death sentence. She barely makes it, boarding an almost totally empty bogie. But as she finally tries to catch her breath, she spots something on the floor. A newspaper.
Section 2. The Scary Newspaper News. The story now transitions perfectly from the external rush of catching the train into a deep internal psychological dread. The headline literally screams out at her, "Working woman thrown from moving train." Staring at the photo of the deceased, her heart just drops to her stomach. See, a month ago, our protagonist silently witnessed this exact woman being beaten and thrown from a carriage by masked men. She was completely paralyzed by fear, so she never reported it. And now, trapped in this metal box, all her absolute worst memories are rushing right back. Then, the train stops, and new passengers board. First, 2 totally regular-looking men take their seats. Next, a noticeably exhausted working woman enters and just slumps into a seat, closing her eyes. And then, the nightmare walks right in. 2 men board, and their faces are completely covered by gamshas. You can only see their cold eyes. Our protagonist's heart rate totally spikes. These are the exact type of men who committed the murder she witnessed.
Section 3. Reality or Terrifying Nightmare. The story now masterfully blurs the lines between what's happening in her sleep-deprived mind and the physical danger lurking right there in the train.
Exhausted, she actually accidentally dozes off and falls into this horrific nightmare. In it, history repeats itself. The masked men grab the tired girl, drag her to the door, and throw her from the speeding train while she begs for her life. Our protagonist wakes up with a violent jolt. But reality is somehow even worse. The beautiful girl is completely gone from her seat, and those masked goons are now turning their aggression directly toward our protagonist. Section 4. The Real Face of Fear. We're moving from silent paranoia straight into absolute, chaotic survival mode as the physical altercation kicks off.
The tension finally snaps. A violent fight breaks out. Paralyzed by fear once again, our protagonist literally dives under the seats, just trembling in pure terror. But as she's cowering on the dirty floor, she finds herself staring right into that newspaper clipping again. She's face to face with the woman who was murdered a month ago, trapped with the ultimate symbol of her guilt, all while this intense violence explodes right above her.
The men are overpowering everyone, and honestly, the situation looks completely hopeless. But then, out of nowhere, the tides suddenly turn. The masked goons are swiftly overpowered and literally thrown out of the moving train by this sudden, immense force. It leaves us with one incredibly chilling question. Who came to help? Who just saved her life?
Section 5. The Mysterious Savior and Justice. Let's unpack the supernatural twist that gives this eerie story its incredibly satisfying resolution.
Okay, so all those visual clues we've been tracking, they finally connect. The protagonist looks up to see her savior, and it's the tired girl who boarded earlier, but she's changed. Now she's wearing a crisp police uniform and gripping a gun. As our protagonist looks closer, the terrifying truth actually sets in. Her face is an exact match to the murdered woman in the newspaper. She possessed all that supernatural strength because, well, she wasn't a living passenger at all. She was a ghost.
And then she delivers this incredibly chilling, powerful line to the attackers. "This is your punishment. Don't make the mistake of underestimating a girl." This right here is the thematic core of the entire story. It's a tale of supernatural, poetic justice. The spirit of the murdered woman returns to punish those who prey on vulnerable, solitary women, essentially becoming the protector she never had in life.
Justice from beyond the grave. According to the source material, this act of saving the protagonist and punishing the attackers is exactly what finally allowed the ghost to find peace. She stopped the exact same horrific crime that ended her own life from happening to someone else. And the protagonist, who carried all that heavy guilt of witnessing the original murder, is saved by the very victim she felt she had failed. It's just a beautifully structured cycle of guilt, fear, and ultimate redemption.
This story brilliantly cakes an everyday scenario, a late-night commute, and injects it with both real-world danger and supernatural justice. So I just have to ask you, next time you ride an empty train late at night and someone sits quietly in the corner, will you look closer at the passengers around you? Thank you so much for exploring this chilling narrative with me. Stay curious, stay observant, and I'll catch you in the next explainer.